wrestler Shannon Dumas.
Hi, how are we doing this morning or this afternoon?
Good. How are you?
Good. How are
Pretty
you?
good, pretty good.
That's great.
I didn't have a show this weekend. I do have a big show coming up Memorial Day in Fairmont, Georgia. It is a benefit show. We are for United Way. It's actually a free event in Fairmont, Georgia.
Okay.
What we do is we get out. It's a festival, and they have wrestling. They have many other things that you want to bring the kids out and have a great time while doing it. This is our third year there, so we've had a real good time. We have WWE, ECW, and WCW's Johnny Swinger's going to be with us at the event. So it's going to be a real good time, hoping to raise a lot of money.
And what is the benefit for? Can you give us some background on that?
It's for United Way.
Okay.
What United Way does is they help. Their organization actually has a lot of things that they do under an umbrella. They help Red Cross out when people are displaced from their homes for fires or natural disasters, stuff like that. They also help with cancer research. They also help with Feed the Homeless programs. There's a lot of programs under the umbrella of United Way.
Wow. Okay. And is it you like one price that you get into the fair and you see everything, or?
No, actually, the actual event is free. We do accept donations. They have donation boxes set up for the so that you can donate. You can donate as little or as much as you possibly can.
Well, okay.
And what is the address to that for the fans that might want to go check that out, Shannon?
The park that we're at does not have an address on it. We have tried to locate an address for it, and there's just not one, unfortunately. Like I said, we've been doing it 3 years, and it's downtown Fairmont. You can't miss it. It's off Highway 411. It's like I said, it's downtown Fairmont. We're actually in the middle of the square.
Okay.
And how far is that from like Atlanta?
Well, from Cartersville, Georgia, it's 21 miles. If you go from downtown Cartersville and get on 411, it's 21 miles from Cartersville. It's 32 miles from Chatsworth, Georgia.
Okay. And that is this Saturday coming up?
It's actually Monday, the 25th, Memorial Day Monday. The action starts at 9 a.m. and goes till 2:30 with the wrestling. But the event, the actual carnival and festivals actually start at 8 a.m. They do a 5K, a 10K, and a kids walk, which all that starts out at 8 a.m. They also have a antique car show, and there's plenty of food, everything from candy apples to funnel cake.
Yeah, sounds like a great time.
Okay.
So it is, like I said, this is our third event. This is our third year with them. We have anywhere from 300 to 500 people, depending on the weather, of course. It is a rain or shine event. So,
is the ring? Is it out in the open, or is it under
Yes, it is out. It is. The ring is out in the Great Blue Yonder.
All right.
So,
okay. I wanna ask you, Shannon. Are you originally from Canada? Because I know several times you've portrayed the Canadian character in several different independent avenues.
It's actually a very interesting story. I am originally from Quebec, Canada. I was adopted when I was months old.
Ah.
And when being adopted, I was adopted from a family from the U.S., and I was raised here in Marietta, Georgia, most of my life. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, I am originally from Quebec, Canada.
Okay.
Do you have any, you being adopted, do you have any thoughts on that? On, is that a good thing, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's a great thing. I think, I promote it 100%. I do think that, in a lot of cases you have situations where the parents can't take care of a child, and they, for whatever reason, and they put, they take a chance, and that child is put up. In my case, I can only speak on my case, that I think that I was put with a loving family that has treated me as, I'm one of theirs. There's never been any instance to where, if you're not close into my family, you wouldn't even know that I'm adopted. So, and that's the way I have two older brothers, and I have two younger brothers, that are mine. They're my brothers.
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing.
So.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful too. What was it that inspired you to become a wrestler, Shannon?
Well, what got me into, I've always had a love affair with professional wrestling. My grandfather used to take us to events in Marietta. They used to have a show at the Marietta Guard Armory every Saturday. It was Georgia Championship Wrestling, which later became part of, as we know, WCW, NWA Championship Wrestling. But they would have an event every Sunday night at the Marietta Guard Armory, and we would go. And, my grandfather we always sat front row, always. We got there hours early so that we could do meet and greets. If they didn't have a meet and greet, we would stand outside on the far side of the locker rooms and wait as the wrestlers came in. And I remember guys like Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, Tommy Rich, Abdullah the Butcher. Those guys would actually take the time to stop and sign autographs, to stop and, talk to the fans. To where I'm not going to say, it's just not like it is today. To where you go to an event, WWE, and, they barricade the wrestlers off, and if you're lucky enough to wait in line, 5-6 hours, you might get an autograph. Back then, to me, it was more fan-based. It was more about, what the fans brought to the show, and that they really respected each and every fan. And that's why I love the independent circuit like I do, because we try to keep it as close to the fans as we possibly can.
Well, I agree with you. I love the fans. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, and that's the bottom line on that.
So like I said, without the fans, like you said, we'd all be sitting at home Saturday nights doing nothing, watching TV.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, because I've never, now I can honestly admit on this show, I've never been to a WWE event. I've never been to an Impact Wrestling event, but I have, however, been to WCW. I've been to one WCW back when Sting dropped down from the rafters on Nitro, and I believe at the time Scott Hall was wrestling the late Randy Savage in the main event, and Diamond Dallas Page was also involved in the match, and this was at a time in Sting's career when Sting was not talking for a whole year. Well, for the audience that was at home, they didn't see this, but to the live crowd, once WCW Nitro went off the air, after it was over, Sting actually did the diamond cutter symbol with Diamond Dallas Page for the live crowd after the show ended, and that was a treat for the live audience. And then the other show that I went to was when I was about 9 or 10. It was NWA at the Omni, and I remember specifically seeing Jim Cornette managing the Midnight Express, and they took on the Rock and Roll Express. And I remember the Great Muta and Arn Anderson fighting each other over the TV title at the time. But I just had bits and pieces of that because that was so long ago.
Well, you asked me what inspired me. Well, I was at a show. I was 15 years old. We had gone to a show. I don't exactly remember where it was at. It was for Smoky Mountain Championship Wrestling. And we were at a meet and greet with the Rock and Roll Express. And I just remember them taking pictures with myself, my brothers, and I remember looking over, and there was a young gentleman that was in a wheelchair. And unfortunately, where we were, where the way they had set up the meet and greet, it was kind of down about maybe 4 or 5 little steps. But the gentleman the kid couldn't get down there because of his wheelchair. And I watched the Rock and Roll Express stop everything they were doing, walk over, and they actually picked up each side of the wheelchair and brought the young man down and actually let him sit at the table the rest of the autograph signing. And
wow.
They took pictures. And that's what stuck with me. And then a year later, I was at a independent event, North Georgia Championship Wrestling, and a friend of mine's dad was working, and they didn't have a referee. So they looked at me and they're like, "Can you ref?" I was like, "I don't know how. I've never done it before." They went over the basics, and needless to say, I reffed that show, and that really started my love affair with not just wrestling, but independent wrestling. And from the age of, like I said, 16 and until now I'm 40, I started refereeing. I have refereed with many of the greats. I've got to meet many of my childhood, heroes. And I just, like I said, when I go out there, I try to go. When I am performing, I try to go out there and give the fans what I, as a fan, would love to see. And that's what I think about every match I go out to, every event I go to. As a fan, what would I want to see? How would I want to see it? And that's what I try to do.
Okay.
Tommy Rich was one of my, like I said, was one of the great heroes of my time period growing up. The youngest NWA champion, and just to watch, I remember once again being at an event and seeing him beat up on Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. And I forgot what it was for, but they presented Tommy Rich with a brand new Camaro. And Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer come out with a baseball bat and started beating up the car. So, of course, Tommy come running down, and, they get into it, and at the end, they actually put Tommy Rich through the windshield of the car. And, I mean, I just remember that sticking out as a kid, oh, my God, and like I said, from there, it just grew into a love affair. And, 20 years later, here I am doing what exactly they did, and trying to help the fans remember those guys, because without those guys there, I wouldn't be here, and none of us that are in the business would be.
Well, speaking of some of those guys, I believe the first time that I saw you, Shannon, you were actually at NWA Atlanta. I'm not sure if it was called NWA Action at that time or NWA Atlanta, or it might have been called, no, it was called MGCW.
Yeah, it was
you were
Mid-Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, Mid-Georgia Championship Wrestling. You were there, and Tommy Wildfire Rich was there, and Abdullah the Butcher, and they fought in a gruesome matchup. And I saw you come out, and you were in the Reach for the Stars match, the ladder match they had for the briefcase to cash in a shot at the world title. And
yes.
I saw you come out with a briefcase, and I believe, if I remember correctly, I believe you cashed in that briefcase that night. And I remember you went back and forth, you and Martin Danger, y'all would go back and forth on the mic and everything. You said, no, I'm going to cash in this belt, and I'm going to do this and that. And Martin Danger said, no, you're not. And, and it was a great storyline and great chemistry that y'all both had, I think.
Well, Danger is, I've known Danger for many years, before and, when he started his announcing career. He's a great guy. Love him to death. I try to go out there when I perform. I try to get chemistry with everybody. Of course, it's not always possible, but like I said, when I go out, I try to sit there and think, what do I want to see? And that's what that's what I always bring to my matches. Like I said, if I bore the fans, they're not going to come out and see me. I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Didn't you have some type of a feud or whatever with the Curry Kid? How does that go about?
Yes, I've actually had many feuds with Curry Kid. We started at what now is NWA Action, I believe. We started out when it was Mid-Georgia Championship Wrestling, and we started out to where he was in my way as usual. I am excellent at what I do. I always try to be, and I want a title. That's the whole point is, I want to show everyone how good I am, and the only way to do that is to have a title around my waist. I believe in Mid-Georgia, we were going for the Cruiserweight title, and some of my best matches were with Curry Kid. They were, great matches. He's a great worker, and I do believe someday we will see him in TNA or WWE.
What are your thoughts, Shannon, on Global Force Wrestling? Me and Harold had the opportunity of a lifetime. 2 weekends ago, we got to meet Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett down in Barnesville, Georgia, at Southern Pride Championship Wrestling in conjunction with LG Productions, Luke Gallows' company. What are your thoughts on Global Force Wrestling?
Well, I have seen some stuff on YouTube. Now, I think it will go big. Jeff Jarrett does have the King Midas touch when it comes to wrestling. I actually met him, I think it was about 10 years ago when he was running TNA. I went down and did a tryout for refereeing. And so I went down there, and you're right. He is a great guy. Always willing to give criticism, but to help you along. Hey, if you do this, you'll get this reaction, that kind of thing. So I think they'll go far. I really do. I really see them. I see them probably being the next, hate to say it, but the next big thing. I do, if they don't put TNA out of business, they will be their biggest challenge, and they will be WWE's biggest challenge.
I kind of feel that way too, because they they've been working on this for quite some time, getting the company together, and now they've announced some roster members such as Moose and Brodus Clay and the Young Bucks, Jim Cornette and Chuck Taylor and several others. So I mean they've got a good variety of people that they've announced, and I think it can go a long ways. I mean, from as much preparation and everything that they put into it.
Well, like I said, I agree with you. For Jeff, for reasons that he had to move on from TNA, but I always think that when a window closes, a door opens up. And like I said, I do see them giving all the major shows a run for their money, if not, a major challenge to TNA. Vince has kind of got a lock, unfortunately, on what he does and how he does it. But like I said, I do think there's room always for another competitor in the business.
Yeah, I think the competition will make things better between all the companies that are involved.
Yes, I do agree 110% on that.
Speaking of other companies, do you ever get to watch the Lucha Underground? Do you like any of the luchador shows?
Yes, I do. That's one of my greatest hobbies is watching the Lucha Underground. I love that style. I love the high flying. When I first started my career, that was the area that I went into. But of course, as we get older, let's just say we get heavier. So we're not quite as able to do those moves as we would like to. But like I said, I love that style. I love that era. We in Georgia really didn't get to see that style until guys like Eddie Guerrero, Chavo, Rey Mysterio came into Georgia Championship Wrestling, and of course, WCW. We really didn't get to see that style. We saw more of the Dick Murdochs, the Dusty Rhodes, that style, the Ric Flairs, because they were located here in our home based here in Georgia. So that's what we saw, and getting to see the luchador style was just eye opening to me as a fan.
Now, what different independent companies are you working for now?
Well, right now I am working for my show, Deep Impact Championship Wrestling. I am working on, right now we're just doing a couple of shows a year with the festivals, and most of them are fundraisers. But I am looking out to get into the Cartersville area, with some shows, some stuff coming up. But I am working with HTCW. They run out of Carrollton, Georgia, and Waco, Georgia. We actually have a big show coming up Saturday. And like I said, I wish I had an address, but unfortunately I do not. It's in Waco, Georgia. That's 4 miles off out of Carrollton.
Okay.
Right.
It's hard to keep up nowadays with the internet because speaking for myself, you don't see a flyer anymore. They put it on Facebook, and to where used to I'd have to keep dates, addresses, and things like that, so I'd know where to show up. But now it's all
Yeah.
on Facebook, and you really just don't see, where you're going. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know this. My feed keeps cutting off for some reason. So
Oh, okay.
if something happens, I apologize.
Oh,
I didn't know. I didn't know what happened, Harold.
Okay, well, I apologize. It just keeps cutting off for some reason.
Technology, you gotta love it, and you also gotta hate it sometimes.
Yeah.
How is your eye? I know you had some eye problems and surgeries. How is your vision doing?
Well, unfortunately, I am totally blind in my right eye. But I don't let that. I don't let that stop me. You just have to adapt and try to keep your opponent on your left side.
Mm. Okay, because I knew you were having some difficulties there, and I wasn't quite sure how that all came out.
Yeah, I have had 5 retina detachment surgeries in the past 3 years. And like I said, you just God bless, that He has saw that to be able to keep me in the sport that I love, and it's His will, and I just go with what He gives me and keep moving.
Wow. Do they think there's ever going to be a chance to restore your vision, or?
Not really. They, as they told me, technology changes, medical advances changes, so we won't know. I'm not gonna. They have given me the option of having the eye actually removed, so that there's no pain. But right now, I have decided not to go that route because maybe technology will catch up with it, and I can do something else as we go through. So we'll see. Like I said, right now I just focus on doing what I can do, and I don't worry about what I can't do.
Yeah.
Well, that's the best. I think the best attitude you can have.
We'll definitely continue to keep you in our prayers and everything.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now,
you're welcome.
I know you have some questions. Like I said, I'm here to answer anything. My career has been interesting. I think so. Most of the time. So I just like I said, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask whatever pops in your mind.
Okay.
Was there any?
I want to. Go ahead, Harold.
I was wondering, was there any opponent that you haven't not faced yet, and that you would like to maybe face before maybe you wrap up your career?
Well, yes. There's actually a couple. I haven't faced Abdul the Butcher, which unfortunately, I know he's completely retiring this year, so I probably won't get to do that. But there are a couple of others that I'd like to see good battles with. So also there is a couple of gentlemen that are coming up. The young talent always surprises me. Good or bad, they're all. I think that the new talent coming up has a whole new attitude that can take this business a very far way, a very long way. So, but Abdul is the only one that I can, pinpoint and say, oh, who would you would you like to have one match with? It would be 100% him. He would be, that would be the one person I would say that if I wrestled him, my career would be complete, because I've gotten to wrestle some of, my childhood heroes, and he is one of the top, I'd say the top on the list that I haven't, that I would just love to.
Have you ever wrestled Kyle Matthews?
Yes, I actually have I got to wrestle him and the Nightmare Ted Allen in a tag match.
Oh wow!
I think it was about a year before Ted passed away. So that was yes, that was one. That was a match that I actually can say that that I got to do, and I was glad I did.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hold on, I'm gonna try to switch phones and see if that'll help me any.
Okay. And while he's switching phones, I'll ask you another question, Shannon.
All right.
Out of all the belts that you've held in your career, what is your favorite belt that you've held?
Well, the favorite title that I have held, I would have to say, would be probably MGCW's cruiserweight belt. For the simple fact of that, I helped Andy Anderson, which I know you know very well.
Yes.
We created that division. We pushed that division, and by holding that title, I'd like to think that I helped push that division to a higher standard.
Mhm. Well, I never will forget that Reach for the Stars match that y'all had in 2010. I don't know if you remember this exact spot in the match, but I remember Curry Kid climbing the ladder, and y'all were I think y'all were all outside the ring, and he jumped off that ladder. When he jumped off, we looked and we thought, is he okay? Because I mean that was so high up when he jumped off in that match.
Yes, I do. I do actually remember that spot in the match. He actually, what happened was he went to jump, and the ladder kicked out from under him, and he missed all of us by about 2 feet and landed flat on the concrete. So luckily he wasn't hurt in any way, but it did knock the breath out of him and take wind out of his sail. But yes, I do. Like I said, I do remember that, and that's one of the reasons that Curry Kid is one of my favorite wrestlers, besides myself, of course.
Yeah.
But he, like I said, he got right back up and continued in that match 110%. And like I said, he never even no one even knew he was injured. And if I remember correctly, he actually ended up cracking some ribs.
Oh my goodness!
On that, in that match.
Well, besides you and Johnny Swinger, are you going to be having any other talent? Maybe some young talent up at the festival?
Yes, we are. We're gonna have. You're gonna see Chris Nims.
Okay.
Is gonna be there. You're gonna see Terry Hayes. He's gonna be there. Southern Destruction. If they're independent group. They're really big. Stanley Somerville is gonna be there. So What I try to do with that show is I try to take the young talent from the area and give an open invitation.
Mm-hmm.
And say, please come down, please, that way, everybody gets a chance. And plus the fans get to see they get to see local stars, they get to see, guys that they may normally not get to see also because, they don't get to travel, to Waco, Georgia, or they don't get to travel, out to Carrollton and those places, Noonan, So I try to bring in workers from all around the area, so that the fans can, like I said, see all that Georgia independent wrestling has to offer, and not just a strict feud.
Right.
Now, in my closing question to you, Shannon, I want to ask you, if you were not in professional wrestling right now, what would you be doing with your life?
Well,
I mean, what other field would you be in?
Honestly, that's a very hard question to ask because, like I said, if I didn't have wrestling in my life, I'd probably be sitting on a dock somewhere fishing.
Okay.
But like I said, wrestling plays such a big part in my life, and like I said, always has. Like I said, my grandfather, my dad used to take us to matches. So if I wasn't in the sport, I would like to say that I would still be following it as well as I could.
Okay. And Harold, do you have a closing question? Because I think we got about 4 minutes left.
Well, I don't know. You went over a lot of things. You got any other shows or anything upcoming that you want to tell us about?
I haven't, with the eye injury, I don't have a full card. I do have just specific shows that I work 100%. HTCW is one of the main shows, and of course, Deep Impact Championship Wrestling, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm doing a lot of training, trying to help young guys through the business. As you may or may not know, I know you guys know Andy Anderson, but I am one of the people who helped train him to get him where he, has his show and everything.
Okay, well, we wanna thank you for joining the Wrestling Lounge today, Shannon, and taking time out to be on the show. And we hope that you'll come back in the future, and we wish you the best of luck on your show next Monday in Fairmont, Georgia.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate it. And anytime you gentlemen want to sit down and talk, just let me know.
All right, thank you. Please send us all the info that you can so that we can promote it for you, too.
Will do. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was independent wrestler Shannon Dumas.